Okay, I want to do a quick demo of the Nook color. This is the main home screen you see when you unlock the device. And as you can see, there's 3 panels. Whoa, did not mean to do that. Did not mean to do that. As you can see, there's 3 panels here, and you can place content onto them, like so. You've got this menu down here, which is your most recent additions to your library. You can see here there's some of the sluggishness that we saw in the original Nook. It's nothing crazy, but would be nice if this were a little smoother. You also saw before there's some touch sensitivity issues with moving these guys around. You can also pinch and zoom, like so. Well, like so. And that's basically this is your main home screen navigation. You've got a couple of options here. You can do some basic settings using the time menu down there. You can jump to your most recent documents or books or periodicals you've been reading. You can jump to the last book you've been reading, and you can do the same with that icon down there. As always, there's the Nook menu. This is present in current Nooks and looks about the same here. Got a few different options. You've got your library, which takes you to your shelves. You've got books, magazines, newspapers, files. Here's an example of the file browser. You can jump to newspapers and magazines, as I just said. Books right there. Pretty straightforward. It gives you a search, and you can also have the lend me options here. These are books that you have to lend and books that contacts of yours are lending. It's almost like a little social network for lending, which is a somewhat novel idea. So let's take a look at some standard book reading. Happens like this. Pretty straightforward, and as you can see here, it actually shows some pretty rich photos. One of the nice things about the book reader here is you've got a lot of options, tons of options for formatting, text sizes, font, coloring, and you can also switch it to publisher defaults, which is great. You've got quick access to brightness here, which works just like that, and is very convenient when reading. You also have options to share. You can recommend, rate, and review, or post your reading status. But more interestingly, what you can do is if you hold down on a word, it brings up this little contextual menu. You can highlight, you can make a note, you can share it, which is cool because it gives you an option to share with contacts on Facebook or on Twitter. And you can also do dictionary searches and Wikipedia and Google searches right from the book. So this is kind of great. I think a lot of people will really get some use out of grabbing chunks of books like this and sharing them on Facebook or Twitter. Seems like a really good use of that function. So a nice addition here. That's basically book reading. There's no fancy page turning animations. It's very straightforward, but gets the job done and is fairly easy on the eyes. Pixel density looks really good on this device, and the screen overall looks really sharp and clear. So that's what books look like. Let's take a look at magazine. We'll open this issue of Spin, and you can get an idea here. I guess I was in the middle of reading it. It's an article, some pictures of Rob Zombie. Here's the Libertines. So it's pretty much what you'd expect. It is an actual it is the actual magazine. You can flip through each page just like you would in a magazine. You can also pinch to zoom to get in closer and kind of flip around here. One of the nice things is it's got this scrubber that you can bring up by tapping, which lets you quickly flip through, and it's really smooth actually, lets you quickly flip through the content so you can skip ads and just jump to content, which is pretty handy. And then in addition, it's got this function called article view, which lets you break out the text in an article in a more book-like format. So works really nicely. Sometimes it doesn't quite capture everything perfectly, or it's a little scattershot on pages with lots of breakout text, but for the most part we've been using it and it has been working really well. So that's what magazines look like. And I have to say, not that crazy about the formatting of papers. This is a paper format, and if you jump to the front page, you can get an idea here. It just sort of feels really thrown together. It doesn't feel like you're looking at the front page of a paper at all. Hopefully they're going to hybridize this and make it more like the magazine section, because it's not that great as is. It's got a web browser in tow, as we talked about. Engadget is loaded up, and there are some formatting issues. This is Android 2.1, so it's not perfect, but for most web browsing, it does a really good job. We had Google Reader loaded up with the Android or iPhone mobile view, and it was really good. It would be great if there was an actual news reader for this, but we have a feeling Barnes & Noble probably doesn't want to do that, as it would hurt their business model. But the browser is decent. It's a standard Android browser, again 2.1, so it's not super up to date, but it gets the job done and works relatively smoothly. There's a few other extras. As we mentioned in the review, there's a music player. Let's go back and see the list here. Actually, it's an improvement, in our opinion, on... Let's go back to our library. Hang on. How do we do this? It's a kind of a confusing interface. We were having problems with this before. It's not really clear how to get around. Oh, hold on a second. Here we go. Okay, so that makes a little more sense, but not a ton of sense. It's got a microphone for the albums and a CD, or it's a CD for the albums and a microphone for the artists. Sort of choose your own adventure here, but at any rate, it's a pretty nice looking music player, and it works pretty well, except for one problem, which is you get this little music icon in the corner, and you think it'll let you jump back to your music or see what's playing, but it just says no notifications, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. Interestingly, there's also a Pandora player here, and as you can see, you get a Pandora icon down in the corner, and now we've got two of them. Actually, is it playing both at the same time? Hold on. So we could be making a discovery here together. Yes, it is. Well, this is kind of a huge problem. Somebody should... wow. Somebody should really tell Barnes & Noble about that, and we're going to add that to the review, because I was not aware that it would do that. So that's a little bit of an issue, because it really should kill... these applications when you're not... I mean, if you're switching between one or the other. Anyhow, really minor issue, but... gives you an idea of what the music player is like, and what Pandora is like. Pandora actually works really well on this, and as you can see, there's a few other applications. So one other thing that I wanted to show is the kids' books, and I think we were just reading one. Here we go. Let me load this up. Here we go. The Elephant's Child. So this is kind of cool. You can have the books read to you. Would imagine this is great if you're a kid.
That is Trunk by Rudyard Kipling.
And it has a similar scrubber to the magazine section. Let's jump to this next page here.
Long ago, elephants had no trunks. They had only blackish, bulgy noses, as big as boots.
And yeah, you get the idea.
One day...
Interestingly, there's no way to pause this. The only way to pause it is to go back to the main screen and have it turn off the read to me function. So it's a little inconvenient, but not a huge deal breaker, but a really nice function if you have kids. And Barnes & Noble is really pushing the kid aspect here. I think one other thing to look at is the shop, which looks like this. And it gives you some recommendations. Also a quick menu to jump to a bunch of different options, like the New York Times bestseller list, which you can see here. Most of this stuff is pretty smooth, works really well. Search functions work really well, and if you're a Barnes & Noble, an avid Barnes & Noble shopper, a lot of this will seem very familiar. Obviously, the selection is great, and the shopping experience is pretty painless. And the nice thing about the shopping experience for periodicals is that if you want to check out a magazine, you can do a 14-day trial without having to actually pay anything. So if you just want to take a peek at something and see what it's like, it gives you a lot of options. So that is a look at the Nook Color.